I've got a confession to make, and it's a juicy one. You know those fitness influencers who are always posting about their amazing personal trainers? Well, I've got one of those too. But trust me, our relationship is anything but Instagram worthy. Let me introduce myself. I'm Emma, 28, and for the past 2 years, I've been working out with the hottest personal trainer you can imagine. His name's Alex, and holy shit, he's a walking Greek god. Now, I didn't set out to be a homewrecker or anything. When I first hired Alex, I genuinely wanted to get serious about my fitness. But the moment I laid eyes on him, all my noble intentions flew right out the window. He's tall, muscular, with these deep blue eyes that make you want to drown in them. And don't even get me started on his confidence. It's like a magnet, pulling me in every time we're together. Here's the kicker. Alex is married. Yeah, I know, I'm terrible. But can you blame me? The sexual tension between us is so thick you could cut it with a knife. From day one, I couldn't help but fantasize about him. Those strong hands on my body, his lips on mine. Let's just say my post-workout showers got a lot more interesting. I started testing the waters, you know? A little flirting here, a lingering touch there. And let me tell you, Alex might be trying to keep it professional, but his body language speaks volumes. I catch him looking at me when he thinks I'm not paying attention. His eyes traveling over my body like he's memorizing every curve. Great form, Emma, he'd say, his voice dropping an octave lower than usual. It sent shivers down my spine every time. For the first few weeks, we kept things strictly professional. Well, as professional as they could be, with me practically salivating over him. We trained twice a week, and I swear, those days became the highlight of my week. I'd spend way too much time picking out my workout clothes, the tightest leggings, the most flattering sports bras, anything to catch his attention. And catch his attention I did. I'd be doing squats, and I'd see his eyes dart to my ass for a split second before he caught himself. Or I'd be on the bench press, and he'd have to tear his gaze away from my chest. It was like a game, and I was determined to win. As the weeks went on, I started ramping up my flirting game. I mean, subtlety clearly wasn't working, so why not go all in, right? You know, Alex, I said one day as he was adjusting my form during a deadlift, I bet you could bench press me with those arms of yours. He chuckled nervously, his hands lingering on my hips a moment longer than necessary. Let's focus on your form, Emma. But I wasn't about to give up that easily. During our cool-down stretches, I'd let my hand brush against his accidentally. When he'd demonstrate an exercise, I'd stand a little closer than necessary, feeling the heat radiating off his body. I could see the cracks forming in his professional facade. His eyes would linger a little longer, his touch would become a little more frequent. But he was still holding back, probably because of that pesky little thing called marriage. But here's the thing about me. I'm patient when I want something. And boy, do I want Alex. I can see it in his eyes, the way he looks at me when he thinks I'm not paying attention. The desire, the conflict, it's all there. So yeah, that's where we're at now. A ticking time bomb of sexual tension just waiting to explode. And trust me, when it does, it's going to be epic. But for now, I'll keep playing this little game. Wearing my sexiest workout gear, accidentally brushing up against him, letting my gaze linger just a second too long, because I know it's only a matter of time before Alex gives in. And when he does, well, let's just say our workouts are going to get a whole lot more interesting. It was just 3 days, and Alex's eyes were on me again, like they always were when I pushed him just a little too far. I knew that look, caught between control and something darker, something he didn't let out often. I loved that I could bring it out in him, that I had the power. We'd just finished today's session, but the air still crackled between us. I caught him in the reflection of the gym mirror, sweat clinging to the collar of his shirt, a small drop sliding down his neck. My own skin practically burned under my clothes. I threw a casual smile over my shoulder as I headed towards the changing rooms, the invitation clear. My pulse skittered in anticipation, wondering if he'd finally snap and follow me in. The door had barely closed behind me before I felt his presence, solid, heating the space. In one moment, I was still, heart pounding under layers of silky fabric. The next, his hands were on me. No hesitation, just heat. I didn't need to think. I was already bending over, palms flat against the cold metal door of the locker, and almost desperate. "Emma!" he muttered, like a curse, like a promise. My name on his lips sent a surge of wetness between my thighs, but there was no time to savor the moment. No time to tease or prolong it, like we had been doing for weeks, months. The fact that someone could walk in didn't slow him down. If anything, it fueled. It was messy, sweat mixing with the lingering scent of metal and the faint remnants of gym deodorant. But none of that mattered. Nothing mattered except the overwhelming feeling. He gave it to me. I nearly choked on the sensation. The locker door clanged with each move, but I couldn't care less about the noise or who might hear us. I leaned against the lockers, trying to catch my breath. My heart was still racing, a mix of adrenaline and satisfaction coursing through my veins. Alex stood a few feet away, his chest heaving as he stared at the floor. "Well," I said, breaking the silence. "That was intense," Alex finished, his voice low and husky. I couldn't help but smirk. "You can say that again." He ran a hand through his hair, messing it up even more than our little tryst already had. "Emma, we shouldn't have, but we did." I cut him off, not wanting to hear any regrets. "And it was amazing." Alex's eyes finally met mine, and I saw the conflict swirling in those blue depths. Guilt, desire, confusion, it was all there, but I wasn't about to let him spiral into self-loathing. Not when I was already thinking about our next encounter. "Look," I said, pushing off the lockers and taking a step towards him. "We're both adults here. What happened was, well, it was bound to happen eventually. The question is, what do we do now?" He swallowed hard. "I'm married, Emma. This can't happen again." I raised an eyebrow. "Can't it? Because from where I'm standing, it seems like we both want it to." Alex's jaw clenched, and I could see him wrestling with his conscience. Time to sweeten the deal. What if we keep seeing each other, but just for fun?" I suggested, my voice low and enticing. No strings attached, no complications. Just this. I gestured between us, letting the heat of our recent encounter linger in the air. His eyes widened slightly, and I knew I had him. But he was still hesitating, his sense of duty warring with his desire. "I don't know, Emma. It's not that simple." I moved closer, close enough to feel the warmth radiating off his body. "It can be. We set some ground rules. Nobody finds out. We keep it casual. Just two consenting adults having a good time." Alex's resolve was crumbling. I could see it in the way his eyes kept darting to my lips. Finally, he let out a shaky breath. "All right," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But we need to be careful. Really careful." I grinned, victory and excitement bubbling up inside me. Of course, discretion is key. Now, about those ground rules. I'll never forget the first time Alex showed up at my door. It was late, nearly midnight, and I could barely contain my excitement as I opened it. He looked torn, his eyes darting around like someone might jump out and catch him. But I knew then he wouldn't resist. Not tonight. I pulled him inside, and the moment the door shut, he grabbed me like he'd been starving, his hands frantic on my body, drawing me close until I could feel every inch of his conflict, pressed tightly against me, so guilty but so eager. That night was only the beginning. Now, it's routine. I can practically set my watch to the nights he texts, saying he's on his way. "Work ran late," he says. "Going to hit the gym," he might add. Excuses for his wife, of course, but they don't matter once he's at my place. He's all mine when he's here. This is where I make him forget everything else. He was here just last night, lying in bed with a beautiful, troubled expression of his. I ran my fingers down his chest, tracing the lines of his muscles, feeling his breath catch under my touch. "Does she know?" I murmured, lips brushing his ear. He stiffened, just as I knew he would. I smiled, loving the way he could never answer me straight. Maybe it was guilt, or maybe he just didn't want to admit it to himself. But he wasn't leaving. "She has no idea, does she?" I prodded, shifting closer, letting my thigh slide against his. His jaw clenched, telling me everything I needed to know. It's infuriating to him. I can see it. This hole he keeps digging, deeper and deeper every time he gets into my bed. But he hasn't stopped, has he? No. He comes back again and again. That's where I find my power over him, where I draw the most satisfaction. He can't resist, and every time I bring her up, I feel that satisfaction build, turning into something too intoxicating to ignore. "Do you ever think about telling her?" My voice was low, teasing, wrapped in just enough curiosity to make it seem innocent. "Emma, please," he muttered, his hand resting uselessly on my hip, as if trying to quell the conversation. I ignored the plea. I always did. "Do you think she'd leave you, or would she forgive all those late nights?" His breath grew heavier, the air between us thickening. He knew what I was doing, but he hated that it worked. I knew he wanted me to stop, but the way his hands tightened on me, pulling me closer even as he tried to push me away, told me all I needed. "You're obsessed," he finally whispered, but it was drenched in something that wasn't anger, almost like resignation. "Maybe," I replied, letting my smile curve against his collarbone, "but so are you." We both fell silent after that. He didn't leave, though. He never leaves. His body stays pressed against mine until the early morning light filters through the curtains, forcing him to face the other life he'll go back to. The one where he pretends nothing's wrong. I, on the other hand, never feel better than when he's gone. The taste of him still fresh. The thought of him crawling back to her, reeking of me. It lingers like a high that lasts. Powerful. Undeniable. And I can't wait for the next time. Weeks bled into months like sweat dripping down my spine in one of those grueling sessions with Alex. I'd catch him sneaking glances while I stretched or worked the machines in my tightest leggings. The ones that hugged every curve, left little to the imagination. I played it up, loving the way his jaw would clench, how his eyes would darken. The tension was intoxicating. It pulled me in, wrapped around me like a cord ready to snap. Every time he tried to maintain some semblance of professionalism, I'd send a little reminder. A sultry selfie from my bed, lips parted, the sheets barely covering my body, just enough to make him lose focus during our next session. I knew what I was doing. The balance between control and letting go was my playground, and I thrived. During one session, I wore a crop top that barely held my chest in place. I caught him staring and bit back a smirk. It was fun watching him struggle, his voice trailing off when his eyes followed the line of sweat trickling down my neck. He couldn't do anything about it. Not there, with people around, with him being so fucking committed to keeping up appearances. "You okay, Alex?" I'd ask, feigning innocence, leaning forward just enough for him to get a better view. "Yeah, focus on your set," he'd grit out, voice tight, eyes narrowing as if trying to reassemble the professional mask I'd made him drop. But later, when the gym lights dimmed and the door latched behind us, that restraint would snap. His touch would burn, marking everything he'd tried to hold back out of him. And I reveled in it, the way he needed me, the risks he started taking. One minute, we'd be training, and the next, he'd pull me into a storage room, pressing me against the wall, swearing under his breath about how much I drove him crazy. It felt glorious, dangerous. But the high didn't last as long anymore. Every time he left me to go back to her. Something gnawed at me. I didn't entertain it at first. This wasn't supposed to get complicated. Just fun. Something to burn away the monotony of life, the dull hum of routine. But fuck. When I was alone, when the adrenaline faded, those little whispers started to get louder. What did she have that I didn't? Why was he still going back to her when I was the one he couldn't resist? I didn't mean to push him about it, but the words slipped out one night. We were lying on my bed, the postcoital silence thick between us. I started asking him again about these same things that I asked last time. Does she know? My voice cut through the stillness, too sharp, too revealing. I regretted it immediately, but the words were still hanging there, filling the space between us. She has no clue. He stared at the ceiling, his jaw twitching, as if the subject alone was a splinter digging under his skin. What would she do if she found out? I didn't mean for it to sound so bitter, but I couldn't help it. He turned his head, finally meeting my eyes. Something flashed across his face. Conflict, maybe a bit of guilt. It twisted my stomach. Let's not get into this, Emma. But I wasn't done. Why her, Alex? Why are you still with her when we... The words tasted bitter on my tongue, less confident than I wanted them to be. You know why? His tone was firm. The wall he'd been trying to keep up suddenly crashing between us. He got up, started gathering his clothes like it would somehow pull him out of the situation. Something snapped in me. Is this just a game to you? I'm not just your fucking stress relief. He sighed, the weight of the moment sinking in. It's not that simple. I propped myself up on one elbow, the sheets pooling around my waist. Why are you even doing this then? He didn't answer right away, just stood there, shirt in hand, torn between leaving and staying. His silence was louder than any admission, and it made my chest tighten. I wasn't just some fling, at least not to me anymore, and that realization hit harder than any workout ever could. He stands in the doorway of my bedroom, back pressed against the frame like he's holding himself back from launching at me. Those deep blue eyes, the ones I've stared into so many times, burn with something like anger. But it's smoldering underneath everything else. Guilt, confusion, desire. I barely listen to him anymore when he starts talking. It's the same broken record of excuses, of justifications that don't mean shit to me. His mouth is moving, words spilling out. Something about this being wrong, about his wife. But I've heard it all before, and I'm over it. Shut up, Alex, I snap. My voice hits a pitch even I don't recognize. Sharper, more desperate than ever. The tension's been building for weeks, bubbling beneath our stolen moments, but this time it finally spills over. Don't give me that crap. His jaw tightens. He's got that look, the one he gets right before he loses his cool. And I'm there, right on the edge, pushing him like I always do. Like I need something more than the half-ass answers he keeps throwing at me. Do you even love her? I ask, and my voice cuts the air like a whip. He flinches, just a little, but enough for me to notice. And it only makes me push harder. When you're with her, do you think about me? Do you wonder if she's as good as I am, if she could ever make you feel the way I do? His breath hitches. I know the questions are cruel, but I need to hear it. Not just the words, but the way they'll tear through him, the way they'll rip him open and expose everything he's been hiding. Everything from me, from himself. I need to see him bleed for once. And sure enough, there it is. The snap. He pushes off the doorframe, crossing the room so fast it leaves me reeling, and suddenly his hands are on me. His fingers dig into my shoulders, and he pulls me against him with a force that almost knocks the air out of my lungs. I don't know, he growls, his breath hot against my ear. There's something unhinged in his tone, something raw. This is the Alex I've been trying to break through to, the one who won't just tell me what the right thing is, who shows me who he really is underneath it all. I don't know what I want anymore. I'm fucking confused, Emma. And you make it worse. You make me think I'm losing my goddamn mind. His words crash over me, and for a second, I can't breathe. It's not the confession itself. I knew deep down that he was falling apart. But hearing it loud and raw and out in the open like this, it does something to me. Cuts deeper than I thought it could. And all that bravado, all that taunting, it crumbles for a moment, leaving me staring up at him. If you're losing your mind, I whisper, eyes locked on his, then lose it with me. He lets out a rough sound, half frustration, half something else, and before I can say anything more, his lips crash into mine. It's not the gentle, playful kiss it's been in the past. There's no teasing here, no soft laughs between bites. I barely have time to process it before he's pushing me down onto the bed, and everything's a blur. It's raw, carnal, like we're both fighting against whatever this is we've created between us. But fuck if it isn't exactly what I need. Tell me, I press, even as I'm losing myself in the sensations, hating myself for still needing the validation. Tell me it's better with me, that you feel more with me than... Stop, he breathes, his voice guttural. He's slowing, like my words, harsh as they are. Ground him a little, but it's a reluctant stop, his body shaking with the effort to hold back. Emma, just fucking stop. When it's over, we lie there, both of us gasping for air, reality crashing back into the room like a bad dream you can't wake up from. The bed feels too small, too hot, the air thick with something more than just tension. He pushes himself up on one arm, eyes scanning my face, searching for something, but I don't know what he's looking for. Hell, I don't even know what I'd want to find if I was in his position. Emma, he starts, his voice low, almost tender. No, not tender, but cautious, like he's afraid of what might come next. But I don't let him finish. I can't hear anything more right now. I push him off and roll away, grabbing at the sheet to cover myself, shielding more than just my body from him. I don't want him to see how much his confession has cut me, even if I was asking for it, clawing for it. He stays quiet, probably realizing now isn't the time to push, but I can feel the weight of everything unsaid between us. Everything raw and real we're too scared to voice. I exhale slowly, my mind a jumble of thoughts I can't untangle. I wanted him to crack, to finally show me what's really going on in that messed up head of his. Now that he has, I don't know where we stand. Don't know what the hell I was even trying to prove. All I know is that it felt good for a minute. Felt right to be that close to him, as fucked up as it all is. Screw this. I mutter, just loud enough for him to hear, pulling the sheet tighter around me, walling off what remains of myself from him. My eyes close. And for the life of me, I can't tell if I'm holding back tears or just letting myself drown in the mess we've made. Neither of us speaks as the silence stretches, but it's not comfortable. It's thick, heavy, the kind of silence that means something's coming to a head, whether we're ready for it or not. For it or not. For it or not.